So this month, we're talking about aligning with our intentions. Aligning with our intentions. That's the thought for the day. We're bringing that thought into what that looks like when we're visioning. What does aligning with our intentions, our true intentions, our deep intentions, look like when we're visioning? Oprah said this of Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. She said, he teaches that the vision we set for our lives begins a sacred process of unfolding that unlocks everything that is unique, mighty, and magnificent inside each of us. So what we want when we're looking at visioning, what I believe we want, what I want for my life is to come alive, to really come alive, to feel my aliveness, to love the life I live and to live the life I love. What we want is something that is uniquely ours, that resonates with our soul power. We want our vision to have soul shine. Can you feel that? We want the vision for ourselves, for our lives to have soul shine. We want our life to have soul shine. Many of us struggle in one or many areas of our life with discontent, with dissatisfaction, with the gap between vision and reality. Michael Beckwith, who I have the great honor of serving with for AG&T, the Association for Global New Thought Leadership Council, is one of the greatest teachers right now at this time and space on visioning. He said this, he said, I believe that you're great, that there is something magnificent about you. Regardless of what has happened in your life, regardless of how young or old you think you might be, the moment you begin to think properly, there's something that is within you. There is a power within you that is greater than the world. It will begin to emerge. It will take over your life. It will feed you. It will clothe you. It will guide you, protect you, direct you, sustain your very existence if you let it. If you let it. So why so often do we have visions that flop? Why so often do we get all excited, make a vision board, or start ideating and journaling or thinking or talking or taking a workshop on what we want our lives to be, or talking with our partners or our family or our community of the visions we want, and then we experience a big belly flop where there's just splashing water all over, but a little bit of burn? Well, we're going to go into some of those reasons. I think one of the reasons is because we don't have a comprehensive vision. We have not downloaded the vision. And without that, we don't have all the tools in place. So say, for example, if I was going to give myself a haircut, right? And I took my hair and I just started, okay, here we go. Just going to cut here, a little bit of there. Or say, you know, I'm trying to create my vision, and I see that my daughter, she looks so cute in bows. They just look so cute in her hair. So I'm just gonna, you know, if they look good on her, and that's what I want to look like, then, you know, that feels good when I look at her, right? No, that's not it. We often arrive at visions that are not even our own. And we often start the visioning process with just kind of random cutting and clipping. And maybe we don't have the skill set. Maybe I looked at a picture of someone doing this online and thought, okay, that's how it's done. So let me just start. Now a little bit from the back. Let me just, okay, wait. There, that looks good. Wait, no, wait. I think that's what I saw them do. Yeah, so part of it's long and part of it's short, and that's great. No, that's not it. Maybe I should just take the whole thing. I've seen that. Take the whole thing and you put it up there, and then you just start cutting from the bottom. That's and then we look at it and we think, it's not exactly what I was visualizing. That's because visualizing is different from visioning. Visioning has elements of visualizing in it, but it is so much deeper. It is so much more comprehensive. Beckwith says that visioning is truly about enhancing your intuition. It's beyond visualization. It's not just picturing, but it's presencing. It's presencing. So there's a difference between visualization and visioning. They both use the law of mind action, but there's a distinction. Beckwith says it's not about you visualizing what you want. It's about catching and embracing what is already within you that wants to be born. Let's hear that again. It's not about visualizing what you want. It's about catching and embracing what's already within you, not outside of you, within you, not on the internet, within you, not on someone else's hair, in someone else's home, in someone else's relationship. What is within you that wants to be born? He says, instead of intellectualizing your way to clarity, you rediscover yourself from a place of pure instinct and inspiration. So before we go on, let go of worrying about my hair. Nobody sees me much these days anyway. And it drops below the screen. Let's look at what we don't want to do. Because sometimes we're activating based on things that we don't even know we are doing, right? That was my biggest wake-up call when I was first introduced to Unity. I just, every Sunday I kept going back because it was like, I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know I was doing that. You know? So the first thing of why visions flop or why they don't make it or why they can lose their steam. I think I have a little hair from my hair coming into my field here. So the first is this, why we don't make it. We often don't make it because it's not your vision, it's someone else's. It's not your vision, it's someone else's. You got it from what you thought you should do. You got it from what someone wanted from you. You got it from what you were taught or thought you should want. Or you have an idea of happiness that you've seen out there, so you actually still buy into the idea that happiness can come from money, that wholeness can come from a relationship. You might have looked at what was popular or what was present around you, rather than diving in to the call that is sounding within you. So that leads us to a path of unquestioned wants rather than desires. And when we are visioning from unquestioned wants rather than desires, we will often miss the mark and we will always fall short of our potential. The word desire comes from of the Father, so of the source, of the oneness. That's where true vision, deep vision and visioning comes from. So the other piece of that it's yours, not someone else's, is that we often see what someone else has, right? What someone else has, and we think, I want that. But the truth of our being is that we all feel different with different things in our lives. right? So you may see someone completely happy in a relationship, right? Completely at peace and happy. And you may think that means that's what I want. And then you get into a relationship and you realize you have a lot of discontent. It's really not what you're looking for. Maybe you even like living alone or being single. Is that a novel idea to anyone? The idea that someone would choose to have a peaceful and content life without a committed partnership. That's not a paradigm we see promoted to create happiness in our world. But people in relationships create all sorts of communities. I know people that are married that have separate bedrooms. I know people that are married that have separate houses. I know people that are married that stay in the same room, that do this, do that. You fill in the blank, people do it. I know people who have partnerships that aren't marriages and aren't relationships, but they're partnerships, they're communities, right? Communities of people supporting each other. But often we look for someone else's vision and not our own. So instead of looking out there and seeing what is in the world around us and saying, I see that, I want that feeling, right? Get this. I want that feeling, not that thing. There's a big difference between the thing and the feeling. I want that feeling. I want that knowing. Here's the truth. Here's the principle. Here's the practice. That truth, that knowing, if it is existent within one person, it is available to each one of us. So it is existent within you. Yours is to uncover and discover what the blueprint of it is for your life. Not to take the object or the thing or the external expression from someone else's life and step into it and expect it to give you the same feeling. You are a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. So your visioning process has to match that. So get a vision that is yours, not someone else's. Number 2, more. More. Give me more. That's what we're taught. We are taught that if we have more, we'll be happier. We'll feel better. We'll feel more peace. We'll feel more love. Well, what happens in a marriage if you keep adding in more people? More. Just keep adding more people to your marriage. How does that go? What happens if you keep adding more stuff to your house? More. It's not easy to walk around, is it? What happens if you just keep adding more food to your plate? You don't feel good, right? More, it's a total illusion. We must allow our minds to once and for all recognize whatever our own wording is of that concept and flag it. So that every time it swims by, you don't let it just go by, you catch it, fry it up, float, throw it out, whatever you want to do, but catch it. Because more is an illusion. That brings us to a consciousness where we are consuming rather than creating. Consuming rather than creating. And that is not where we want to be when we're visioning, but that is one of the number one downfalls of a visualization, of visioning practice. So we tend to focus on what we can get rather than what we can give. What we can get rather than what we can give. So if you think about a vision, just think about any time you've done visioning or had a vision for yourself. And if you've never had a vision for yourself, that's okay. This can be visioning 101. Rather than thinking about only what you're going to get and how it would make you feel and how you would feel if you got these things in life, think about what you would give. What will my vision allow me to give? What will my vision allow me to give? And make sure that that is at least in balance with the idea of what you would get and how you would feel when you get these things. And by things, I don't just mean stuff. I mean feelings, peace, joy, contentment, relationship. Feel into that, really feel into that. And you can't go wrong if that's your whole focus. If your whole focus in visioning is, what will this allow me to give? Because think about the times in your life where you allow yourself to be a giver and to feel that. Think about what it brings to you. Every time you give, you get. It's a natural part of the law. It's a natural part of the law. But so many times we focus on what we're going to get instead of what we're going to give. Here's the third one. The third kind of downfall is that we're taught that our visions aren't big enough. Have you heard that? Your visions for yourself, for this world, for life, aren't big enough. We're taught that they're not big enough. And some misinterpret this. Some think that they need to say, okay, so I want a vision for my life that I make $50,000. Wait, that's too small. I want a vision that I make $100,000. Wait, that's too small. I need a vision that I'm going to make $1 million. And people keep going and going and going. The mistaken concept is this. It's not really about things not being big enough. It's about it not being broad enough. It's not about it not being big enough. That's irrelevant. The universe will take care of itself as far as what is needed to flower out the vision. But it's because we don't focus on the vision being broad enough. So what do I mean when I say that? What I mean is that we're often not seeing beyond the scope of our own mind. We're looking with the eyes and we're looking at what's out there, and we're picking and choosing like we're at a buffet. Like we're at a buffet and we're just putting different things on our plate that we can see. And we're not really asking ourselves the deeper question and going within, like Michael Beckwith says, to look at, what does love look like? What does lifestyle look like? What does community look like in my heart? Going from the place where the mind meets the heart, not just the eyes, not just the eyes. In scripture, 1 Corinthians 13:12 says, for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, even as also I am known. That concept that as we apply our spiritual practice, we gain clarity. That idea that we're seeing darkly, we're seeing something dimmed, that happens when we are not being broad enough with our vision and we're only looking out there at what's an option, at what's possible, at what we see other people or the external world has. But that's dim, that's obscured. The knowledge is incomplete. So we have to look beyond. We have to look with the heart. Rather than rearranging what is already here, what is already there, reach for what is within. Rather than rearranging what's already there, reach for what is within. Deepak Chopra talks about it like eavesdropping on the mind of God. That's always one of my favorite things. Eavesdropping on the divine mind, eavesdropping on the source. Just go into the silence and just start listening. Because if a vision is broad enough, it will be uniquely designed for you. It will be custom made for you. And it will surely contain within it things that you never would have found or known or had the courage to say yes to if you had tried to look for them on the outside. They're sometimes just not there. So listen to what is calling you. Listen to what is calling you, even if it doesn't make sense. I think about sometimes the visions that our collective consciousness lacks. Our collective consciousness and our collective demonstration doesn't always embody the vision of a world that works for all. And if we look for permission to demonstrate our visions from the outside world, we will be caged in and limited. I think of all of our same gender loving couples and people with alternative lifestyles, which are not alternative. There's no real thing as an alternative lifestyle, right? Alternative to what? Fitting in this exact box in this exact way. And you may notice that same gender loving couples that have a love that has withstood the hands of time, and I'm talking 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Many of them don't have children. Many of them don't have children, not because they're not insanely incredible human beings that would be the most magnificent parents, not because there wouldn't be a child and a soul that would have more than all of its needs met by being birthed and born into that family. But because of the times, it was enough of a vision to follow one's own heart and be in and create a relationship that one didn't see accepted or demonstrated or widely celebrated on the outside. And so individuals have come together for years and years and had so much time, maybe even celebrating in secret, maybe even visioning in secret. But because there were some things that were not considered available or accessible externally, you see a different experience there, a different experience than today. So someone, somewhere, some individuals broke past the chains as each together and collectively, people started standing for their visions, saying, I get this at the core of my being. This is the truth of my being, and I will live this vision. No matter what, no matter if it fits your idea of me, no matter if it is accepted, no matter if it is celebrated, whatever it is, I will be true to myself and I will be true to my vision. I know individuals with special abilities, I call disabilities special abilities, and some, because they're born into and grow up in areas of the country or families or whatever it is, that the infrastructure has less reaching out, will live life, their whole life single, will live their whole life single. And then others that keep reaching and keep expanding the possibilities, have relationships and marriages and communities that some may not even be thinking that's possible. May not be even thinking that's an option for my life. If we go to the external world to tell us what the options are for our lives, we will sell ourselves short. If we go within, then regardless of what it looks like, you see what I'm saying? The form, the choices, regardless of if they fit what we call the norm, if we go within, we are birthing from the unlimited nature, and we are designing a life that is uniquely expressing itself in, through, and as us. And this is our calling. This is what the world needs more of. The world does not need more cookie cutters. The world needs more of us. those who are willing to courageously and bravely live the lives that are already existent in their hearts. I've seen people who grew up in systems that tell you your education determines your job. Your education determines your employment. Your education determines your income. And then I've seen people who don't buy into that. I've seen people who hardly graduated from high school, thriving. I've seen people who don't have college degrees, thriving, getting jobs that everyone that applies for the same job may have a master's degree or a PhD or whatever other certifications and degrees that are available. But the individual with experience, the individual with knowledge, the individual that can do the job breaks through the rules and requirements. So are we willing to feel what is ours? Are we willing to go beyond and begin to listen so deeply with such courage that we can live the life that not our eyes see and think, oh, let me clip all of those things and stick them onto a board because that looks like good flooring. That looks like a good window scene. That should make me happy. That looks like a nice cozy couch. That could go in this corner. Are we willing to take inventory in our own hearts? Martin Luther King didn't launch his visions because external evidence showed they were probable as far as being demonstrated. He didn't share his dream because he saw it out there, someone else was wearing it or having it, and it looked pretty easy to take it on. He shared his vision and his dream because he knew in the core of his being, he went within, he felt within the core of his being, this is the truth. Equality is the truth. Dignity, human dignity is the truth. All beings are born blessed is the truth. And then he brought it to the outside with the perceiving power of mind linked with the ability to shape substance with mindfulness. He shared that vision. If it wasn't known within him as a truth, it would have been hard to stand. Well, not that it wasn't hard. It was hard to stand against everything. It still is. To stand against what people are faced with. But to have the endurance, one has to know the vision, to know it to be truth. Martin Luther King moved people into progress, not because he saw that it was one of the options on the table to pick from. It was not. It was not a likelihood. Things were not in his favor. Many did not consider it a reasonable vision, but it was an inspired and ordained vision, one born of truth. He sensed it, he felt it. He called it forth, he declared it, he invested in it, and he demanded it through nonviolence. It was so alive that it was not separate from who he was. He embodied it. He elevated himself to it. This week, we have Martin Luther King Day sandwiched in between. Have you thought of this yet? Sandwiched in between a violent, destructive, and hateful raid on our nation's capital and an inauguration and the vision of a peaceful transfer of power in a democracy that is threatened by an armed, who knows, an armed something, an armed threat, an armed possibility, a different vision. And in between, we celebrate Martin Luther King Day. I do not believe that that is a coincidence. I believe that that's a call. I believe that we're called to use our power of visioning for the collective, right now more than ever. Martin Luther King said, "The rich have become richer materially. The poorer we become morally and spiritually." The richer we have become materially, the poorer we become morally and spiritually. We have learned to fly in the air like birds and swim in the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers. We have learned all of these things, but we have not learned the simple art of living together. We are called to reignite the vision of living together. So here's the invitation. Because Martin Luther King also said in the letter from the Birmingham jail, on April 16th, 1963, he said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. The true neighbor will risk his position, his prestige, and even his life for the welfare of others." So can we take those calls into visioning? You may do this on your own, but we have an invitation for you to do it together. The invitation for you as an individual is to record a video, a 60-second video with the hashtag Vision Igniting or Visions Igniting, hashtag Visions Igniting. And you record yourself speaking life to a vision, sharing it, put it on social media, share it with friends, whatever you want to do. But there is so much garbage vying for our attention right now. It is time for our practice to be clear with our attention. Don't give it away to every little thing that comes by, every little fear that knocks on your door, every little flyer that you see or read, every little post. Be mindful, apply intelligence, have care and concern for other things, for the things that are in the negative, have care and concern, but dedicate your concentration, your intention, your deliberation, your study, give that to the visioning. The next invitation, aside from sharing visions you're passionate about in any area of this life, right? In any area of this life, invest in what you do want to see. And when you share this vision, keep it in the positive, keep it in the affirmative, keep it in the now. I see this. This is what I see. The next invitation is our Saturday, our Monday Zoom parties. On Monday, we are having 3 visioning sessions. The first one is going to be about education. And it also has the second part, which is about intentional communities. Give a little shout out if you've ever thought about an intentional community. Give yourself a little shout out if someone ever says something about buying a piece of land and you always say, "I'm in." Are you going to keep saying "I'm in," or are you going to start picturing it? Are you going to start visioning it? Are you going to recognize that it's not a far off idea? It's not an impossibility. The next one is spiritual community. That happens midday, the spiritual community. What does that look like? What is that going to look like in the future? What do you want it to look like? How do you see that it can support people, help people? How can people give to it? How can it connect with the greater community? And then harmony and diversity. What does that look like? What does harmony and diversity look like? What do you want to see? What's your vision for our community, our country, our world? And sustainable living. Sustainable living. What's the vision for sustainable living? What's possible? I've just come alive when I start thinking about what is possible and things that we haven't even seen out there yet, but that are right here. Have you ever thought about that? Like with the Jetsons and with Star Trek and everything, did we create those things? Did we actually finally create them because we saw them on those shows? Or did we see them on those shows because people saw them in the silence? Are you willing to put your energy where your intention is? Michael Beckwith said, "You are inseparable from all of the good that is everywhere." From all of the good that is everywhere. And I close with this quote that I saw that said, "Craft a life that sings to your soul." Craft a life that sings to your soul. Namaste.